Hey folks, Daniel here from Pwn CNC, and welcome to the level set 3 of the Dominator Pro Build Series. We're deep into the build now, and in this step, it was time to make a foundational decision that affects the entire wiring layout of the machine. This was the point in the build where I had to decide which side of the CNC machine will the controller live on. That choice determines how cables are routed, how your cable chains and brackets are oriented, and even where the VESA mount for the display gets attached. For this machine, I chose the right side, so everything is terminating and coiled up neatly on that end of the machine. If you're building your own Dominator Pro, this is a great time to think through your shop layout, your table design, and how you want to access your control system day to day. With the controller side decision made, we got to work on the mechanical and wiring prep. First, we physically installed the X, Y, and B stepper motors. Then we attached the Y cable chain bracket to the right side gantry plate, since that's now our home base for control. We also mounted the X cable chain across the top of the gantry, using 2 T-nuts we installed earlier. During this step, I drilled a small hole into the middle of the cable chain itself, so it could be securely fastened. That keeps it from tipping off the back of the machine. Once the cable chain was in place, I carefully laid in several critical cables with different lengths sticking out the left end of the cable chain, as specified in the manual. Here's what went into the X cable chain: the Z stepper motor cable, the Z proximity switch cable, the spindle power cable, 2 superthane tubes for our water-cooled spindle, and because I'm building this machine with an ATC, I also routed the pneumatic air lines and the motor sensor cable. Once the X chain was fully populated, I moved on to wiring the B and Y stepper cables and their proximity switches. To keep everything neat, I used some of our 3D printed cable covers, which snap into the extrusions and hold the wires flush to the frame. Clean, secure, and totally out of the way. Then I routed the X stepper and X proximity switch wires, as well as the LED lighting cable for the gantry. And of course, every cable I routed, I used painter's tape and a Sharpie to label each end, which makes future steps much easier when it's time to wire everything into the controller. After all the cabling, I turned my attention to the VESA mount. Using the T-nuts I pre-installed, I mounted the base bracket to the leg of the machine. I added a couple washers under the base plate to ensure it sat level to the floor, then tightened it all down. Once the base was secure, I opened up the VESA mount box and attached the monitor arm. I haven't installed the Masso Touch controller just yet. That'll be part of the next level set. The next phase of the build is focused on wiring cleanup and routing. We'll install the Masso Touch controller and begin connecting the labeled cables from this step. To keep everything tidy, I'll be building a custom wiring shelf using an HDPE sheet that bends into position under the machine bed. This shelf will help hide and organize wiring between the leg kit's lower shelf and the table frame, creating a clean install you'll want to copy. I'll also be 3D printing and installing some custom Y cable chain brackets designed by one of our earliest Dominator Pro owners. These brackets will hold the Y chain neatly in place once it's installed in following steps. The next video might be simpler, but it's all about creating clean routing, smart access, and pro-level polish. Thanks again for following along. This Dominator Pro is starting to take shape, and I'm excited to keep building it here in the garage. If you've got questions about wiring decisions, custom cable routing, or building your own cable shelf, drop them in the comments. Make sure you check out the raw video for this step if you want behind-the-scenes insights from the build itself. And as always, don't just own your CNC, dominate it.